September the 22nd, Brittlegills. One of the most beautiful of all the fungal families are the Brittlegills, Russula species. So many of them are the picture-book brightly coloured caps set on small, snow-white stems. Unfortunately for field naturalists, there are over 140 species in Britain with caps of many different colours, especially red, purple, brown, yellow and green, all of which are often mixed. They have such a deep fungal association with certain species that solitary specimens can often be found just sitting underneath the tree concerned. They are called brittlegills for obvious reasons, but their caps and stems often crumble very easily as well. Russula fragilis is so fragile, it's hard to believe how it ever managed to evolve such a character. Traditionally, brittlegills are identified in the field by noting their colour, smell, how their caps peel, and their taste. As so many are hot and acrid to taste, a small piece is nibbled by experts alone from the edge of the cap and tasted at the tip of the tongue before then being removed. This unusual method of identification is possible as brittlegills contain no toxins, although it is not recommended with green russulas for fear of confusion with death caps. There is a rite of passage with young mycologists to taste the hottest russulas, which once tasted are never forgotten. The hottest and most acrid, and the one you're always encouraged to taste the most, is Russula badia, which is almost painful to taste, but luckily has been found in Kent, but not yet in London. In a good September, you might expect to encounter 10 to 15 different brittlegill species on a foray, with 5 or 6 being a more usual number. On a bad year, not a single specimen will be found. Russulas with red caps are always the ones that catch our eye first, especially in beech, oak and Scots pine woods. There are 70 of these, but less than 10 that tend to be in London. Generally, they tend to be hot or very hot and acrid to taste, with some, such as Russula metica, even irritating the bowel. This species is a fiery red and is often found sitting in moss below pine trees. 2 other common red russulas, Russula marii, poppy red, and Russula baccellarum, a pale pink, are conveniently found under beech and birch respectively. Russulas with coloured stems are also a little easier to recognise. For example, Russula sardonia is rose-coloured, Russula sardinia blood, Russula lepida carmine coloured. Similarly, the colour of the gills may help. For example, Russula pseudointegra is saffron yellow, Russula aurea golden yellow gills, edges, and Russula luteotacta, which has gills which bruise a chrome yellow. The colour of caps, stems and gills of most russulas get more variable as they age, and many of their colours get easily washed out by rain. However, 1 or 2 other more common red russulas are sometimes given away by their particular shade of red. For example, Russula velenovski is a brick colour, Russula vesca wine-coloured, and Russula gracila ham-coloured. Rarely in this group does smell help, but the scent of Russula pseudointegra is said to contain elements of menthol, pelargonium, and blackberry jam. Kew Gardens and Brookwood Cemetery are especially good places to look for rarer red russulas. The majority of brittlegills in London tend to be purple, green, or various wine colours. One of the most sought after and easiest to recognise is the charcoal burner, Russula cyarizantha. It is both large and delicious to eat. Unfortunately, slugs, squirrels, and even deer think so too. It is rarely found either in abundance or ever totally intact, consequently. The caps of charcoal burners are usually a mixture of violet, blue, and green, supposedly reflecting all the colours you might see in burning charcoal. If a specimen is found suffused with a lavender colour, it may be the closely related Russula langii. In this more purple and blue colour group, the great beauty is Russula cerulean, whose cap is the deepest livid purple with a central raised umbo. This is one of the best purples to be seen in any London plant or animal, and in this case is set off perfectly with a snow-white stem and saffron-coloured gills. Another deep purple russula is Russula bruneo-violacea, and one of the palest is Russula violacea, both of which have been recorded in Epping Forest. Brittlegills also produce one of the finest yellows in the cap of the Yellow Swamp Russula, Russula clariflora. It's a uniform, shiny lemon yellow, which in this case is shown off to best effect in the bright green sphagnum it generally chooses to grow in wet birch woods. Russula acetylens also can be found under birch, but is more of a golden yellow. Two other highly attractive yellow russulas are Russula violipes and Russula solaris. The first is a perfect primrose yellow with a violet stipe, and the second is more of a lemon yellow, but unfortunately smells of vinegar. One last yellow russula worth looking for is Russula resigolina, which has peach-coloured gills and smells of plums and apricots. All these species are not common in London, but have been found on Hampstead Heath, with the exception of Russula solaris, which was found nearby in Queenswood. When it comes to identifying green russulas in the field, the usual rule of tasting a little is ignored for fear of confusion with more dangerous species. Luckily, the green brittlegills in London can generally be identified by their caps alone. The green cracked Russula virescens, has an attractive cap with colour patches of sea green and cream. It is sufficiently well thought of elsewhere in Europe to be gathered in quantity and made into a mushroom extract. Russula eriginea, the grass green russula, has no cracks, but does tend to have a tendency to develop rusty spots on its cap. Both are not common in London, but may still be found in Epping Forest. Russula virescens is in the beechwoods and Russula eriginea in the birchwoods. Two other green russulas that may also be encountered are Russula heterophylla, which is more of a paler yellow-green, and the green form of the charcoal burner, Russula cyaxantha forma cutifracta, which is usually given away by its large size. The black, brown and white russulas tend to be the ugly ducklings of the group. Russula nigricans is so black it looks both burnt and almost mummified. Even its gills are solid and set far apart. Russula albonigra and Russula anthracina look rather more dirty than black. They are not so solid and have far more crowded gills. Two other dirty-looking species are Russula serraria, which smells of camembert cheese, and Russula densifolia, which, when scratched, turns red, then black. With brown russulas, it is better to smell and taste them. Russula ochrolouca, the ochre brittlegill, is easily the most common of all the russulas and can be found in nearly all of London's woods. Although it has no smell and little taste, it is easy to recognise by its uninspiring ochre-coloured cap and equally uninspiring grey stem. If that's not enough, the cap cuticle peels off easily almost to the centre. If the brown russula smells oily and rancid, it'll be the fetid russula, Russula fetens, and if it smells of bitter almonds, Russula laurocelici. Russula farnapes has an elastic cap, and Russula felia has a very bitter rather than hot taste. There are several other brown russulas in London, so these characters are just pointers, as are red stains at the base of the stem in Russula pectinatoides, and the white patches on the cap in Russula pseudoaphenis. Probably only two white russulas are likely to be encountered. Russula delica, which is exceptionally firm with a strongly rolled edge to its cap, and the ivory-coloured Russula chlorides, which is worth hunting for just to see the strange, faint, narrow blue-green band separating its gills from its stem. It is always worth spelling a brittlegill, as there is such a wealth of unusual scents, although not everybody has the receptors to enjoy them. A selection of the more interesting ones are Russula meliolens, honey, Russula aminolens, Jerusalem artichokes, Russula felia, geranium leaves, Russula odorata, boiled sweets, Russula graveolens, crab, Russula maculata, roses, Russula densifolia, old sherry casks, Russula cavipes, laudanum, Russula fragilis, bubblegum, Russula pectinatoides, stewed apple, Russula adusta, wine corks, and Russula turcae, iodoform, but in this last species only at the base of its stem. It ought perhaps to be added that different authors seem to have very different nasal receptors and occasionally are also prone to exaggeration and hyperbole. When it comes to taste, most russulas are either mild, nutty, fruity, hot, or acrid, but one or two are more interesting. For example, Russula rosea tastes of cedarwood pencils, and Russula albonidra is said to have a cool menthol aftertaste.